Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and we have Chris Mullin to talk about shooting. And this is going to be some real interesting stuff because you have a lot of experience making some serious buckets, wouldn't you say?
Well, I'd like to think so. I try to make half my shots. Nowadays, I say there's one thing about shooting, but it's more important to make them.
That's right. So we're talking about the turn. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on this notion that the slight 10-degree turn that helps get your elbow in and your wrist in and everything in line. Does that sound familiar to you? Does that sound like a fundamental that could actually exist in going forward?
Well, I think a lot of it is your physical makeup. Your body mechanics between your hips and your arms and the length of your arms. But I don't think there's any exact way you need to be lined up. I think what's as more important is that you shoot the shot the same way. So you teach yourself what your shot is. I do think there's certain things that all good shooters have. Nice backspin, they got nice arc. To get the shot off, they catch the ball ready, in the ready position. They use their legs. It's not really an upper body shot where it's muscular. It's use your whole body, pretty much from toes to your fingertips. But you really have to, practice a lot, put the time in to find your own shot.
Well, let's ask you this. Were you a 1-2 or a hop guy?
I did both. And I think if I had time, say trailing, come into a three-point shot or somewhere you had time when you knew you were open, the 1-2 was fine. On pin downs, I wasn't the quickest guy in the world, so to get my shot off quick, I used to try and have my feet set where I could just catch and get rid of it. So I think that was another adjustment that I would make. Also, your shot's a little different when you do that. And I think too, a lot of things, I used to always think of shooting, like a golf game. You had your 2-point shots, you shot one way. Your free throw was for me, was a totally different shot than my other shots. And the 3-point shot was the shot you shot on the way up, a little more arc. And I think too, over the years, the 3-point shot has become so prominent, which is fine. I mean, mathematically it makes sense, but it's taken away a little bit of the creativity on guys getting open and the variety of shots that are used, say in the paint, using different hands around the basket, just the creativity of using your teammate to get open.
We talk about the dip. People always say you can't bring it down. Once you catch it, it's got to go straight up. But we've realized that a lot of these shooters dip. It could be 6 inches. It could be longer. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, ideally, not a lot. I think, to say not at all would probably be most guys a little bit, there's a little hitch there just to get the ball going. But yeah, I think if you're teaching, it's a good way to teach because if you're not going to move your hands, you have to move your legs. And ideally, you shoot more with your trunk, with your hips. That's where you want to generate the arc. So it's a good way to teach. I don't know if, once you get going, it's going to vary a little bit.
Okay. Now, the sway is what we call it, when you let your feet sway forward. Not like your whole body jumping forward, which is sort of like what Wooden used to teach, but your feet gently going forward, which a lot of the great shooters do. Were you aware of doing that when you were shooting? Yeah,
I think, again, it's something that happens naturally, depending on how much you run into the shot, where the defense is, if you have to get away from the guy a little bit to get yourself open. But I used to, in my head, try and think up and down the same place. That was the ideal way to shoot the ball. If you're off the dribble, you stop on a dime and go up and down. Now, as you're moving, you're probably not going to be exactly up and down, but it's like anything else. If you're fading one way or the other, you're pretty much shooting at a moving target. So ideally, what your free throw is, that's the shot you want to try and emulate throughout 2s and 3s. And of course, there's variation off the dribble, catch and shoot. If you head fake and you got to move around, but you still want to get to that same pocket and shoot the ball pretty much the same way.
Last thing, when you shot the ball, where did you aim? Where did your eyes go?
Well, my eyes always on the rim, and I always felt like I wanted to shoot towards the back of the rim. I didn't want to be short. I'd rather be long than short. So I always used to think backspin and shoot with arc and don't be short.
So you were laser-like because you noticed that a lot of the great shooters follow the ball after it's released. You've noticed that, right?
Didn't really I've heard people ask me recently. I don't think I did. You might want to check your taste, but I don't think I did.
Okay. So, and you definitely, if you were coaching somebody now, it would be laser-like focus on that rim. Don't take your eyes off.
Absolutely. Okay. That's one of my pet peeves with free throws. When guys get the ball and they're at the free throw line and they do this and they look up and shoot. Even eyes have to readjust. And to me, it's like, put your eye on the goal. You get the ball from the ref, stay there, focus on the goal.
Well, this was the most educational experience I've had in a long time on shooting. So, thank you so much, Chris. Good luck this season with the Kings, and study this.
You might have to go back to your black and white film to study, but.
Well, and by the way, we always end our interviews with, and don't forget, sports fans, it's not a channel, it's a conversation. You in? Are you in?
I'm in.